welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamika and this is Check the Rhymes. I'm super excited that you're here. You already know the drill, and be sure to check down below for the link and get you some merch, because what? Meet Me got merch and it's all Check the Rhymes everything. So without further ado, let's hop into today's show, because joining me is Avant. He is back with new music, his 9th studio album called Can We Fall in Love. So we're gonna dig into that, see where the heck he has been, what took him so long to come out with new music, because we needed this for R&B, y'all. We needed it. So stay tuned, you don't want to miss this. Joining me today here on Check the Rhymes, I have the legendary Avant. Welcome to Check the Rhymes.
Thank you so much for having me, man. You know, it's been a blessing. 20 years in the game. Wow.
20 years. Wow.
Man, I couldn't have called that myself. You know what I mean? But it's been a blessing, and I'm on my 9th studio album. And Can We Fall in Love? It's really good for this time, you know, because there's so much going on with this COVID thing and quarantine and you being around people for so many years, and everybody change all the time. But we never really get deep into finding out what type of change they've made. You feel what I'm saying?
You're right. You're right. And I was listening to.
I try to open that up.
Yeah. Well, I love the album, and as I'm listening to it, I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Everybody's kind of in the house. You trying to make sure some babies are being made.
Yeah. Well, you know, or you get away from a bad situation. You know what I mean? So I think that element of R&B has been missing.
Yes. I agree.
You know what I mean? It's like. To me, it seems like one big artist now. So it's like everybody want to be like whoever that top person is on the charts. And it's like, but when I listen to radio, it's like I hear the same song.
Yes.
That has to stop.
Yes.
You know, because when I came in on the backs of some greats that had their own personality, their own image, and their own vibe. And I think that's what this music game is really missing right now.
I agree. I totally agree. Because if I hear one person, I'm thinking it's somebody else, and they're like, no, it's this person. I'm like, well, they sound just alike.
Yeah.
So, like I was mentioning that the last time we spoke was 5 years ago. So you took a bit of a break. What you been doing?
Well, what I tried to do was, I had to find out what mattered to people again. And then you start talking about cutting albums. Okay, do I have the knack still for people to go out and really want to purchase music,
right?
From myself. So I think that's a lot of the struggle that we find ourselves in as artists. You don't want to spend extra money for nothing.
Right.
But I would have people come to me like, yo, man, I need an album from you, man. I need some good music. And I'm like, okay, but what kind of music? Because the stuff I'm listening to, I'm not about to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just had to trust my guns. I got in with a great producer, my man Travis Sales, and we just really let the room talk to us. We let the studio room talk to us, and we came out with some pretty good material, I believe.
Absolutely. And I was going to ask you that, how you guys came up with that material. What was that process like in the studio?
Well, you know what? I didn't go in with a game plan because I was lost, like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? I was lost. What I did was I cut a song called "Not Gonna Lose," which is on the album as well. I cut that earlier in the summer, and I was like, just gonna put this out there and see, so I'm fishing. So I just put this out there and see what, if they vibing off this. And they're like, yo, I like that. That's an old school vibe. And we've been missing that. So I was like, okay, that really gave me the direction where I needed to go. And I just trust that direction. And, came out with pretty good product.
I think so. Cause as I was listening to the album, I'm like, a lot of it has your signature sound, but it also gives us that throwback, a little bit of a nostalgic type of feel, and I love that.
That was the vibe, because I think it's missing so much in R&B right now. And what I'm doing is I'm actually opening the door. I'm keeping the door cracked for the other artists, the other greats to come in and actually be themselves.
Yes.
And give them, give people great music. You need to find a great young producer that's not going to take you all the way left and have you sounding like you 14 years old.
Exactly.
But understand your vibe and understand what you're trying to get across. And I think that's what I did with my man Travis Sale. He's amazing.
One thing I was curious about is, and it sounds like that you were very adamant on sticking to who you are.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like you said, a lot of times some of the older artists will come up with, I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. I can't think of one in particular, but you'll hear something that they put out and try to sound like the current, the new people. And you're
sound.
Like, what are you doing?
And, what happens is, in that case, of course, I'm not here to shame anyone, but what happens in that case is that you lose your audience.
Right.
Your audience is like, yo, I don't even know. No, that can't be. No, wait a minute. No, that's not. And then they say, oh my God, like, okay, so I'm not a fan of that anymore. You feel what I'm saying? So you don't want to lose that audience.
Exactly.
I'm blessed for being a writer, a songwriter too, that I can, take someone's story and I can, put that emotion to it, where the soul to it.
Yes.
And it resonates to people. So I thank God for that.
So how did you come up with the title for the album, Can We Fall in Love?
Okay. It's funny because I was going to name it something else. I was going to name it something that had nothing to do with anything. But one of the people that work at the company was like, yo, this Can We Fall in Love song, man, you need to name the whole album Can We Fall in Love. And I was like, that's not a bad idea, because the shit that I was coming up with was not good.
You gotta tell me one, just to give me one. What
it
you
was called something like Both Sides, or something crazy, where I was trying to depict the love and the hate side of relationships and love.
Right.
It made any sense, because there's no song on the album. There's something about. Right. I mean, it's talking about relationships. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it just made sense when he said, "Can we fall in love?" Because that's the whole concept behind the album. It's really saying, a lot of people are caught in lust right now.
Right.
And they're making kids out of lust. And then what you do is you got these two individuals, and they're adding another person in. And the other person I'm talking about is the government. You know what I'm saying? Because now you got to pay child support. So it's like, yo, we learned how to do that one thing really good.
Right.
But we cannot communicate at all. We suck.
Look, there you go. Preach.
So the nature of it all is that's what the whole point I've been trying to get around, is that we have to teach our kids about love. Because love is, when you go to the club, you might get girlie's number, but you had to go 9 times before she even gave you the number.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I hope she's here today.
You got to work for it.
You got to work for it. But now it's like, yo, in a drunken stoop, she done gave you the number, the tail, and everything else. And she don't even remember who the hell you is the next morning.
Right, exactly. And then post all your messages and everything on social media.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I should have never did that. Okay, really? You think not, huh? But, that's the nature that, but we have to teach again. Mm-hmm. We're never in a position where we need to stop teaching. Exactly. We have to teach the kids what respect is for yourself and respect is for other people.
Right. I totally
agree. And I'm
agree.
talking men and women. It's the truth. Like, yo, bro, there's a respect level in everything that we should have.
Absolutely. So I want to talk about I'm just going to throw out the names of some of the songs, and you tell me, some of the, whether there's a story behind it or the meaning behind the song, just whatever you want to share. So let me dig in my bag.
In your bag, girl.
One of my favorites on the album is Worth It.
Okay, Worth It. Worth It was a situation in which I felt like we all sometimes look outside of our relationships. Mm-hmm. And we look at people and say, oh, he'd be perfect for me, or she'd be perfect for me. You know what I mean? It's like, wow. But I see, the counterpart that they're with, they ain't really doing them right. Mm-hmm. So if I could be that person, which it's all a fairy tale fantasy, because, at the end of the day, if you do get in there, who's to say it's going to be peaches and cream? It's
right. She might be crazy. He might be crazy.
Right. But it works well in your mind.
Yeah.
Because everything is predicated on what we think anyway.
Right.
See, and that's what people got to understand. At the end of the day, all of this stuff has come from a thought.
Yes.
So, if I can live in it's crazy to say, but it's just like the pornographic situation. Yeah, it's fun when you watch it and get it off you, get it off you for a minute. And, you ain't have to argue with nobody. It was fun. It was great. but it was all mental.
Right.
So we got to understand everything comes from the mind. So it was just one of them things where which you looking outside your relationship and saying, I could treat her better than that.
Okay. Yeah, that one I really like that. And I'm like, but disclaimer, I'm not looking outside of
I feel you.
before I get a text. What you mean?
Right. Right. We sorry. We don't mean nothing by it.
Right.
Somebody's looking outside. That's for sure.
Another favorite of mine, and I was reading the YouTube comments. Two people were like, "Oh, he really trying to get folks pregnant." Edible.
Oh yeah, man, edible. Well, again, it's so crazy with edible. Is I wanted a raunchy. I wanted a edgy. I ain't gonna say raunchy. I wanted an edgy vibe. And it's like I was saying, I'm like, you look so edible. So I was singing it in there, and I was like, yo, because my manager, my producer was like, yo, you gotta say, got me want to use my mouth. I'm like, man, wait a minute, bro. I'm like, that's too edgy, man. Like, that's way too over the top. He was like, no, trust me, man. Because the next line that I came back with was it made it not as, edgy.
Right.
So, and it was like, yo, he's like, listen, I listen to it now. The kids can listen to it. The grandma can listen to it. Everybody can listen to it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't start going into, in depth with what, because I said, like you said, people smoke edible weed. They eat edible candy.
There you go.
So it made so much sense. So I said, kudos after a while, after going back and forth, I said, I appreciate it, bro. It makes sense. And it worked.
It did.
So that's the backstory on edible.
Yeah. Okay. What about Live a Lie?
Whoa. Okay. Now there's so many people that live this thing. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things which you want your cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, we got this secret relationship, but okay, how long can we keep it a secret? Because we ain't trying to break it off.
Right.
So the more and more it starts off as we just having fun. We just having fun. It's cool.
It's a situationship.
And when feelings start to get involved, now it's uncontrollable.
Right.
And it's like, okay, now we got to pry ourselves away from each other. Because we started to see each other at the grocery store. It's like, what in the hell? And, it's like, and you got your other partner there, but she don't know or he don't know nothing about it.
Right.
It gets real sticky. So I just wanted to bring across that aspect of it, so that's the backstory with that.
Okay. And what is your favorite song on the album? Or do you have one?
It's so hard. It's like picking my kids. You know what I'm saying? I can't, because all of it is really, moments.
Yeah.
And by me being a songwriter, I was feeling a certain type of way. Maybe the producer came in and said he was feeling a certain type of way. So I remember them in that vein. So it's hard to say that, one would be favored over the other.
Good answer. So what else obviously things are a little different with the pandemic, and promoting an album is going to be a little bit different because you're not able to really go from city to city and do shows. So will we get a virtual concert at some point?
Yeah, we've been thinking about some things like that. I just want to really focus on this album right now.
Okay.
Because I know when I do a virtual concert, people are going to want to focus on the old songs, and which that's cool. I love my songs. Don't get me wrong. But right now I have a new project out, and I want to make sure people are hearing this.
Right.
And are focused on what's new with Avant. So, it's coming. It's coming, but we're trying to do it the right way.
Okay. So here on Check the Rhymes, I always have to ask, because I'm huge on affirmations. Do you have like an affirmation that has, one, kind of pushed you as you were recording this album, and that's kind of helped you during the pandemic that just keeps you going?
Well, basically my kids, man. I try my best to be the best dad, because, being out there and, always hustling and bustling and coming back with the bag, but your presence isn't there.
Yeah.
It's really tough, because, you know what I'm saying? It's like, your son, is this going on with your son? All right, well, tell him to do better. And you just run out the house, you know what I'm saying? You go off to the airport. It's like right now I'm able to enjoy my kids And I have a 7-year-old daughter, and she has all these Barbies. I never touched this many Barbies in my life. I mean, listen, I've never touched this many plastic titties in my life.
Tell me y'all have storylines and everything for the Barbies, because that's how I used to play with mine.
Yeah, we have names, we have storylines. One time, it's so crazy. You have so many. So I know it's crazy. We had to still, how to talk. Well, one time she had something set up because we do stop motion too. So now we're creating the Barbies moving and things like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, Ken, she only have one Ken doll. He wants to look at all the other Barbie girls. So
of course.
they end up jumping Ken on her thing. I said, well, I see, well, she ain't gonna be playing around. She ain't with it. So it's a beautiful thing to see them evolve and see their mindsets and how things go,
Yeah.
She's like, well, my daddy don't do that. What you doing? Oh, it's funny. It's hilarious.
I love that. I just, as you were talking about the Barbies, I'm like, oh my goodness, the storylines. And I think I only had one Ken doll too, so I get it.
Yeah, you can't have too many Kens around.
So, of course, I have to, as we wrap this up, I have to ask the question that everybody is always asking on social media. Do you think that R&B is definitely still alive and well?
I think so. The thing is, okay, I'm gonna give you the rundown that I did. Okay, so in 1990, before 1990, but in 1990, that's when R&B was at its apex, really. You know what I mean? It was like crazy. And, just imagine if R&B was that way from 1990 to 2020. People would be tired of it.
Right, that's true.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So by having this break in between with, I call it the disco sound.
Uh-huh.
I think it was needed.
Yeah.
Because, now you can go back and be like, yo, I want some real R&B. So they say, yo, Avant got a new album out and he's talking about that rip. So now people are, they're excited again about the sound of R&B. So I think it was needed, and I think it's in a good, healthy spot. If, again, like we talked, if the R&B artists of our time, of our yesteryear, are really going to do real R&B.
Exactly. So I love that. I think that's a great explanation.
Thanks.
Because I didn't think about that. I'm like, you're right. If we were still listening to the same stuff from the
we would be like, well, shit, damn. Like, it'd be too much. Because, you got to think about it. In the 90s, you got R. Kelly. You had Babyface. You had Luther Vandross. You had Michael Jackson. You had D'Angelo. You had Maxwell. You had, oh, my God, Stevie Wonder was still rocking at the time. You had Anita Baker was still. It was just oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
And I ain't even talking about the new artists that came in, the genuine.
Right.
All the other, you know what I'm saying? It was so compact with artists and songs. And it was like, okay, now if it was 2020, we still listening to R&B that in depth, it wouldn't matter. No, but now it still matters. So
totally agree. And I'm so glad that you're back.
Thank you.
You've been waiting.
Hey, and I'm here for you. You know what I'm saying? I had to figure it out too. And it's crazy because, you start wondering like, yo, do people still, do our generation even know how to download, know how to stream? You know what I'm saying? Because the thing is, and I don't want to be long-winded, but the thing is this here, everything has a transition. We went from vinyl to cassette tape, from cassette tape to CD players.
Yes.
So it's like everything has a way to change.
Yeah.
We are able to change, but when we get older, as we can see, we used to ask our mothers why they didn't want to change. Now we see we don't want to change.
I was gonna say, now we're back to vinyl because I got a whole collection.
There it is.
Well, will your album be available on vinyl at some point?
At some point, I got to work for it. I got to do it.
Yes, because I need that for my collection.
Thank you, babes. Thank you.
Well, please tell everybody where they can get the album, because they got to get
everybody
it, inspired.
On all of the social platforms. You can get the album. Also follow me at Avant Music and on Facebook of Avant. And listen, the truth is we are needed as artists, but we are needed with great material. Yeah. And the only way we have great material is if you continue to feed into us. And that's being real. A lot of people don't want to hear the real, but it starts with you guys. It don't start with us.
And that's good to know because people don't realize that. But thank you for letting us in on that secret.
Listen, I would be in the hood still if it wasn't for you guys. Because I think a lot of times our egos get in the way.
Yeah.
Our ego as artists, we feel like we're bigger than the situation. It's like, yo, you forgetting who paid your rent, bro. Okay, I'm gonna stop because it's getting too deep.
Right. I was like, and I'm peeping that nice background out there. You got a nice yard, nice scenery.
I look, I need to cover it up. I don't need you to see everything.
And I've been watching House Hunters too. I'm like, yep, he got a lot of greenery back there.
I'm blessed, man. I'm my back. It goes back so far. Ain't nothing but woods back there.
I love it. I love it. It looks very peaceful.
Thank you. And that's what I try to get now. All that negativity, I'm not with.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Avant. Everybody make sure you go get Can We Fall in Love. It is an amazing album. Support Avant so we can keep getting this great R&B. Thank you again, Avant, for joining me here on Check the Rhymes.
Stream and show your kid. Listen, those that know how to stream, show your mom and your granddad.
Yes, you have the patience to show them.
That's right. Please. You know what? Patience is everything. Yes. Oh my God. Especially now in this pandemic, you have to have patience.
Yes. Yes.
Because everybody want to get away. I'm tired of being around her. Okay. But at a certain time of night, you coming right back to the house.
Right.
Don't nobody else want your black ass. Excuse my language.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, Avant, for joining me here on Check the Rhymes. It has been a pleasure, and you are hilarious.
You are funny too. Wow.